Next important aspect is the inspection program. Inspection program is the most important step in dam safety surveillance. An organization has to set up an inspection program per force if you have to manage your dam safety. There are various types of inspections that we described in the project context. The first and foremost is the routine inspection. At least one pre and one post monsoon inspection is the absolute minimum that you can have. The pre-monsoon inspection should be carried out when the reservoir is at the lowest level, so that you are able to visually examine various parts of the dam which are likely to go underwater later on and will not be available for inspection, but they may exhibit some problem at that point of time, like the upstream phase of the dam, like some parts of the energy dissipation, like some parts of the gates, etc. Post monsoon inspection has to be carried out when reservoir is at the preferably around the maximum level. This indicates the state of the body of the dam, how compact is the dam, what amount of seepage is happening, what amount of problems are occurring during the flood discharges, and any other untoward phenomena that happens when the dam is undergoing a design load through the reservoir. These inspections will always throw up some concerns. If they throw up those concerns, then the comprehensive inspections will have to go in, which will go into details of all aspects of loads and material behavior of the dams by the experts, and the issues notified under the routine inspections, and how these issues are interacting with the structural mechanics of the dam, or the hydraulic or the seepage performance of the dam, and what could be possible reasons. This may require a lot of time and lot of energy, and sometimes it stretches over years before you actually come to a conclusion about the problem and how that can be solved. So comprehensive inspections are definitely required once you have identified a dam safety concern. Apart from that, every 10 years or some suitable period, the dam again has to undergo a comprehensive inspection, as we have discussed earlier, and at that time again all these aspects, whether they have generated any concern or not, are examined, and the expert opinion is obtained about their safety or otherwise. Specialized inspections may also be required using the advanced techniques like remote operated vehicle in an underwater context, or equipment like borehole cameras and various other very special equipments which are there for carrying out the inspection of the dam under some adverse circumstances. Implementation of the supervision review the outcomes. It is not adequate to simply ask somebody to come up and then inspect the dam and say that this is the report. The report should not really gather the dust in the files. Once the report is received, the outcome has to be reviewed. If some additional questions come up, they have to be got answered, and a follow-up action program will have to be taken up in line with the quantitative risk analysis, so that as and when the work is to be taken up, the work is taken up in line with the recommendations made, and also the recommendations which are made are not lost sight of, especially when you carry out risk-based analysis on the basis of these recommendations. Then automatically the recommendations which are of urgent in nature will come out on the top, and then you will be able to assign the priorities. So understanding the outcomes of an inspection is quite important. Many times it is seen that it becomes a exercise to get a set of experts at the site, discuss with them, get all kinds of things written from them, and then keep it somewhere, and then there is no follow-up. If this follow-up is not there, then you have not removed the problem. then there is no point in having that inspection at all. But then these problems are very important, and any advice which is ignored can only be to the detriment of the dam and the public safety. So inspection program is the key management exercise which has to be overseen by the dam safety organization at the highest level, and ensure that the points made are well taken care of. Dam safety inspections are also very interdisciplinary in nature, and expertise requirements for the safety assessment requires a lot of expertise with multiple fields, and their roles may vary in the magnitude depending upon the problems encountered. So the required fields, coordination and logistics, there has to be a set of people who should be able to coordinate with various expertise areas and ensure that their services become available to you at the desired points of time. For example, when you are collecting a dam safety inspection team of experts, then all experts preferably have to come to the dam at the same time. If they don't come at the same time, then there can be a lack of interchange between them, and that may lead to conflicting recommendations. So coordination and logistics is an important part for a dam safety organization to really look at. Then the other technical requirements are structural or geotechnical engineering. They will both be required. Structural engineering will be, experts will be required when you have got the the concrete or masonry structures, and then you will need geotechnical engineering at least for the abutments in a concrete masonry dam, and also for the slope stability in an earthen rockfill dam, and various other aspects. Engineering geology is a must, because engineering geologists will be able to assess the state of the foundation, the foundation treatments that have been provided so far, and the performance of those treatments. He will also be able to provide you with a structural assessment of various jointing patterns and the stabilities or the relative instability of the abutment or other slopes, and various other geological features that may get exposed during the operation of the dam. Engineering seismology and structural dynamics person is required for assessing the seismic risk to the body of the dam, and also change in the seismotectonic environment which has happened over a long period of time, and that has created a new situation for which the dam may have to provide for. So the engineering seismology and structural dynamics expert has to be an important part. Field and laboratory analysis form a very important aspect of the comprehensive dam safety program, and for that special experts are needed who can guide and carry out extraction of samples in a destructive kind of testing, or plan out the locations and areas for non-destructive testing, and then carry out the laboratory analysis and provide with an engineering properties of the samples, and that can be used further for the analysis. Flood hydrology, again the most important aspect, to assess the changes in the patterns of floods using the various hydrological analysis approaches like hydrometeorological approach and hydrodynamic approaches to reassess the flood risk to the dam, and what kind of discharges will be possible. They will also be useful for providing the soft measures like the pre-depletion exercises or like the various other warning exercises. Hydraulics of spillways and energy dissipation utilities, because there may be erosions, and those erosions will need to be understood in form of how the hydraulic performance of these fast flowing waters are happening. Hydrodynamic simulation and emergency action planning, because once you change the design floods, once we change the operation pattern, then that will create a particular type of outflow floods in the downstream, and how the downstream channel will react to that, what kind of emergency action planning will be required for these kind of outputs. For that, the hydrodynamic simulation using the various other open channel models like Mike 11 or Mike 21 or HEC 21, etc. are required. Structural, once we have assessed the safety and the requirements are generated, the structural and geotechnical design personnel may be needed, who may carry out the design of the alternative measures and then recommend the necessary design drawings. For example, when we have to carry out an additional spillway, then additional spillway structures will have to be designed, and for that the structural and geotechnical design engineers will be needed. Similarly, in case of hydromechanical system experts, the requirements that are generated at the part of the inspection, that will have to be converted to the designs and the modifications in material specifications. All these areas will have to be looked at. Structural behavior instrumentation and analysis experts will be able to look at the behavior as reflected from the instrumentation, assess the health of the instrumentation, and provide alternatives for the minimum parameters that are required to be measured, and any other additional parameters, what are the instrumentation technologies required for monitoring those parameters. Hydrological instrumentation and observations and database management will be very strongly coupled with the inflow design flood assessments, and how the telemetry has to be established, what are the ideal locations, how those locations will be installed with the instrumentation, what will be their security, lightning protection, and so on and so forth. Underwater explorations may require very specialized kind of personnel who will be able to carry out diving operations, who may be able to operate the remote operated underwater vehicles, and then provide you with the records of the situations down below, or carry out the repairs. Geophysical techniques for overall assessment, that what could be the density distribution in the dam, what could be the porosity distribution in the dam, etc. Rehabilitation technique specialists, where the specialized materials may be required. And then you will also need numerical modeling of structures, where again there will be different specialities, like whether you are likely to use the continuum methods like finite element method, or whether you are going to use the discrete methods like, for example, the U-deck and 3-deck type of procedures. All these areas will require the appropriate type of experts for the dam safety assessment in a comprehensive manner. Capacity building is the key, as we discussed earlier also. Capacity building is required at the individual dam level as well as at the dam safety organization level. Since the organization will be responsible for the development of the capacities at the individual projects level, so we are discussing this issue here rather than discussing at the project level. The capacities are required to be built for appreciating the outputs generated by experts, as detailed in the earlier slide. Each of the experts has a lot of capability in the small area in which the individual expert is working, and will provide you with a very detailed explanation of various things. But then this will happen to be a jigsaw puzzle in which each expert will provide you with a piece, and then the organization will have to assemble those pieces. So we have to understand what is the implication of various statements being made by the individual experts, and what is the importance of that. But that is the one which will again go into your quantification of risk areas. So capacities are required to be built, especially at the central organization level, for appreciating the outputs generated by experts. Many times it has been seen that the reports that are generated through this kind of expertise are the exercise in themselves. Some special institution is involved, and the institution goes through the individuals go through the exercises, and then prepare a large voluminous report, and then that is provided to the central organization, and then central organization doesn't have enough amount of understanding available in-house, and will end up asking another expert to review this particular report, and ultimately it leads to so many opinions, and out of those opinions the department is at a loss to understand which is the opinion to take and in what form they have to take. So it is required that the outputs generated by the experts have to be understood by the organization in order to come to a definitive work plan. Depending upon the dam portfolio, the organization level offices will require capacities for the risk analysis and the disaster management. It may be possible, like in case of our large states like say Maharashtra or Gujarat or Madhya Pradesh, where thousands of dams are existing, and it may be possible that we are dealing with an organization which may have only one dam as a part of its inventory at a present point of time. So depending upon the portfolio, the required capacities for the risk analysis and disaster management have to be generated, and accordingly appropriate capacity have to be developed in the personnel that is available with the organization. A very important aspect is that we need to appreciate that the emergencies do not come regularly. Like you take the case of inflow design floods. Now we design a dam for, let us say, probable maximum flood. But then probable maximum flood is a very rare event. It will occur, it may occur even this monsoon, it may occur next year, it may not occur for another 100 years. But the personnel in charge of the dam and the systems in charge of the dam will keep on changing over the period of time. And any person will be responsible for handling this extreme situation. So site personnel should have the capacity to handle the extreme events, analyzing the data and appreciating the dam conditions. Any person who is put in charge of a dam should have the capacity to handle the extreme event. Now naturally we cannot have the physical simulation of the extreme event. We cannot create a probable maximum flood by any means, but as a kind of a simulation exercise, the emergencies have to be handled. As a simulation, a mock exercise have to be developed, and people should be made to go through those mock exercises on a regular interval. So anytime any person who is available at the site will have an assured capacity of understanding the positions and then carrying out certain actions as a part of his training. This is like the same kind of training that an army undergoes. Army doesn't fight wars every time. Like India fought the last war in 1971, and then we have not fought a last war. But then that doesn't mean that army will not have any capacity to fight such a war, because they carry out the regular training exercises. This is the same kind of training exercises that has to be implemented for each of the major dam that is having a substantial disaster potential, so that any person who is available at that point of time will not be found lacking in understanding and in developing the appropriate response. This is an aspect which has been largely neglected in our large organizations like state water resources departments, etc., where because of various requirements we keep on posting people and we keep on transferring people, and during this posting and transferring and various such exercises, we do not pay adequate attention to presence of such kind of procedures, presence of such kind of regular mock exercises, and the person may not have adequate capacity to appreciate the kind of danger that the person is facing. So capacity building is not a one-time exercise, because as we know, the dams are going to last forever and personnel will have to change. A person who comes in the organization may have to go to other duties or responsibilities, person may have to retire. So it's not a one-time exercise. Every time the set of personnel that are there in charge of dam safety, they all have to have an assured level of understanding and assured level of expertise, and that has to be continually built along. So it's not good enough to say that we got a dam safety course done in 1979 and then onwards we have got the capacity, because that capacity would have been lost by now, because the most of the persons who are associated with that particular course have already retired, or some of them never landed up using this. So there is a robust procedure, there has to be a robust kind of environment in which this exercise is carried out on a repeated basis. Creating strong document base which has to be reviewed and upgraded regularly is a very important part of the institutional memory, and institutional memory is the one which lends into the capacity building. If institutional memory is not strong, every problem that is generated will always be the first time that you have come across this problem, and then you will have inconsistency in your approaches. So the documentation base has to be generated, and for generating this kind of documentation base, again dedication is required, again the procedures are required. If the procedures are there which enforce you to carry out certain activities, you will carry out these activities. So that is also part of the capacity building area. Now we have gone through almost the entire gamut of the dam safety activities that are required, and you have also got an overview of the areas that you will have to tackle, and we will be discussing each of those areas which we have discussed earlier as in a comprehensive manner in the forthcoming lectures. Let us understand how we have come to this particular level. How did we start the dam safety initiatives in India? We had a very significant wake-up exercise. In 1977 around, there was a failure of Teton Dam in US, which was a very severe failure and created a lot of disaster, and that put the entire dam safety issues in great focus in the United States. And since it was a very major failure, the organization also woke up in a manner that we have to look at this very seriously, right up to their House of Representatives and their Parliament. A similar situation occurred in India in 1979 with the failure of Machu 2 Dam. Machu 2 Dam was a very defining disaster, probably the largest disaster in the country, where the maximum loss of lives and maximum loss of properties had taken place. It was almost like a Hiroshima in India. The entire town of Morbi has got wiped off, and there was enormous devastation that happened in the town in terms of lives and livelihoods. So there was a meeting of the state irrigation ministers where these issues were discussed, and they resolved that there has to be dam safety as a discipline that has to be introduced, and accordingly dam safety organization was first established in Central Water Commission in 1980 to operate at the central level and then provide the guidance to the states for setting up the dam safety procedures in their own states. So afterwards, the UNDP assistance program was undertaken, and this program was undertaken from somewhere around 1986, 85, 86 onwards, and it worked very well during the 87, 88, 89 periods, in which various central and state officers were trained in very leading organizations like the United States Bureau of Reclamation and very leading universities of the US and Europe, and they were provided with the capacity. A number of experts came from those countries, stayed for months together in India, carried out workshops, and also carried out training programs, and by way of that they built the basic capacities that were required, let us say, for analytical abilities, for underwater inspections, for various hydromechanical structures, and so on. Many of us, including me, were part of this program, and we learnt a huge lot which we are still using today. With this program, the World Bank funded Dam Safety Assurance and Rehabilitation project was taken up from 1991 to 1999. This was a very signature program because even World Bank had also taken up this kind of a program for the first time in their experience. And at that time, there was an option to the individual states, and even though options were offered to many, only 4 states came forward. That was the Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, and Rajasthan, which covered 182 dams with the basic dam safety facilities, and 33 dams were rehabilitated. Apart from that, the Dam Safety Assurance and Rehabilitation project provided with various other very important soft inputs like the PMP Atlas, Probable Maximum Precipitation Atlas, which can be used to assess the probable maximum floods to the dam and accordingly revise the hydrology in a relatively quicker time frame. Similarly, the other aspects like the rehabilitation, the construction management for the rehabilitation, an important aspect of using the satellite based telemetry for hydrological observations and flood forecasting was also brought in as a part of this program, and we established 2 such systems, one at Hirakud catchment for Hirakud Dam and other in the Chambal catchment for the Chambal cascade dams like Gandhi Sagar, Rana Pratap Sagar extending all the way up to Kota Barrage. A lot of important inputs were received, and based on that the program provided a lot of inputs to even the other states as well. By that time, most of the states had established their own dam safety organizations, and using the details available, they had also participated and provided for their inspection programs, and some activities were taken up in the dam safety in a systematic manner. After the conclusion of this program, immediately World Bank wanted to go with the other set of program which will widen the scope of this program. But it so happened that there was a lot of confusion about the requirements for the prioritization exercises, and various other funding issues were there, and there were other implementation issues between the World Bank and the Government of India, and it went into discussion. However, simultaneously in the late 2000s, somewhere around 2005-6 onwards, the dam safety legislation was propagated, and it went into the discussion at various places across the various states across the country. A lot of discussions took place. A lot of modifications were also attempted in the dam safety legislations. Simultaneously, the National Committee on Dam Safety started functioning, and through the National Committee on Dam Safety, it was possible for the states to come together and discuss their common safety issues for their dams and other hydraulic structures, and these activities were progressing well. But then, after a point of time, it was realized that the Dam Safety Assurance and Rehabilitation Project was some kind of a technology demonstrator. We could understand that, we could see that how it can actually be done, but we have not actually scaled it up. So for scaling up that and providing further inputs into the technology and other parts, the discussions were taken up with the World Bank from somewhere around 2007-8 onwards, and by 2012 the current dam rehabilitation and improvement project was taken up. This initially covered few states, but then additional agencies also involved, and now the Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Kerala, there are two agencies, Kerala Water Resources Department and Kerala State Electricity Board. Like Tamil Nadu again have the Tamil Nadu Water Resources and Tamil Nadu State Electricity Board, because they are independently owning the dams. Then Karnataka, Jharkhand, especially the DVC, the Damodar Valley Corporation. Then Uttarakhand Jal Vidyut Nigam for the dams in the Uttarakhand area. They have all started participating in this project, and the dam rehabilitation works are on. There are very valuable guidelines that have been developed. A very good website called damsafety.in has been set up, wherein all the publications of the under the DRIP project are available. They are all very valuable publications. I would encourage all the participants to download those publications and use them, at least glance through them and study them while you are also undergoing this course, in order to understand the gamut of things that are available in any particular area. Now already the discussions are in the final stage for the setting up of the phase 2 of the DRIP program, in which 18 states and 2 central organizations are likely to participate. Simultaneously,